I'm going to make this as short and snappy as possible. This diagram right here is why no one is replying to your DMs on LinkedIn. Now, the first touch point is always going to be either a piece of content or a DM. This brings people into your ecosystem. The ecosystem is what we've spoken about before. Sometimes I call it a funnel. Not exactly true. It's an ecosystem. A funnel doesn't really work anymore. You're not really pushing people to buy. People come to that on their own accord, and just showing up daily with the right strategy keeps them in an ecosystem to do that. We've also spoken before about this triangle. So I'm not going to go too in depth, but people are going to be problem aware, solution, and offer aware. Now, your job is to move people through this. So some people aren't going to be aware that they even have a problem yet. Educate them, provide the value, show them your offer, more likely to press pay. Simple. Now, adjacent to that, you have this buyer journey as well. So while they're becoming problem aware, solution aware, offer aware, they're first of all, after this touch point, going to acknowledge you exist through posts, liking content pieces. Then they're going to begin to recognize you on their feed, showing up consistently. At this stage, they might even opt into like a lead magnet or something, or your funnel. Doesn't mean they're ready to buy. That's important to know. The next thing they're going to do is trust you. This is where they'll probably book a call. Maybe they'll get nurtured by content more. However, whatever. Then they're going to relate to you. Maybe they'll try and copy a section of your process. They're going to be coming to you, asking questions, stuff like this. This is a signal. Then they're going to believe you solve their problem, take action, and pay. So this buyer journey is critical for understanding how you frame a DM conversation. What we want to do is move people through here. And there's two ways you can do that. And you won't believe what they are. It's either through content, through DM, eventually maybe booking a call or just push them down as well. This is why we call this the dual acquisition system, because we're going to use both, leverage both. Now with content, we're relying purely on algorithms. We're relying on good content strategy. We've spoken about this before in the past, so I'm not going to go too in depth with that. But using your authority content, your growth hooks, your personal angles, all of these will help build that ecosystem that's going to move them down here. This is where DMs come unbelievably useful, basically, because a DM alone can move people down this whole journey straight to action, right? So they might like a piece of content. They might not even like a piece of content. You might just outbound to them, the DM, and you can move them through all these into a call to take action and pay, or straight to take action. So this is where DMs are critical, and this is why we hone in on DMs so much. The way that we work out when someone is ready and when people are at these stages is using temperature checks, just seeing where they're at along the buyer journey. You can temp check them at any point along this journey to see where they are and help them move down to action. Now, there's three questions that I'm getting all the time at the minute, and I want to answer this with context to everything that I've just gone through, right? When do you actually pitch a call? Well, you can pitch a call, pitch your offer in a piece of content or a DM. You only want to pitch in content when your audience is warm and you're ready. Think about harvest. Once a year at the harvest, chop it all down. That is when you give your offer. That is when you can pitch. In DMs, we use temperature checks and signals to understand when we're ready to pitch. Now, this is where most people go wrong. Someone will acknowledge you exist, and then you'll straight try and pitch them here. And then they'll fly out the ecosystem and go somewhere else. So proper scripts to move them down here. And then you use these signals. Are they liking posts consistently? Are they opting into lead magnets? Have they booked a call? Have they tried to copy some of your processes? Are they asking you questions in DMs? Things like this. And then it becomes natural to pitch then. The next question is even more important. How do you push people down here? And how do you pull back? I'm getting this question all the time. A lot of people will follow up, and they will literally follow up to try and force people down. That's not how it works. This is not how you follow up. You want to follow up based on where they're at here, using the temp checks. This is how you temp check. You either provide them value or you go off a signal that they've provided. You only want to push forward when it's in alignment with these points. Why do I not seem to get replies still? Because people come to me, it's like, Ben, I'm doing it. I've got the scripts. I'm not getting replies. No one's replying to my DMs, and having these high intent conversations that you're always talking about. There's three things that are going to be the reason for this. And this is what I want to wrap up on. You want clear proof, human branding, and proper positioning. Every time someone's told me this, it comes back to one of these three, and these three are the three horsemen of LinkedIn content, and I will not stop banging on about them because they are so important. These are the catalysts that move people down this journey. If you start implementing some of this, you start mapping out your buyer journey, understand the signals, when to temp check correctly, when to push, when to pull, when to pitch the call, your DMs will come 5 times better. Any questions moving people along this, how to do this? We've got a video breaking down this whole strategy. We've got tons of resources you can use. Just DM me on LinkedIn and I'll fire them straight through to you. But apart from that, that's everything, and keep smashing it.